What's going on? Vincent Rapsardi, BigBlueUnbiased.com. Thank you to those who have liked, commented, and subscribed. I really appreciate you guys. So I do a lot of analytics, talk a lot of analytics, watch some film, combine the two. But in this video, I just want to talk about the overall vibe that I have for the current New York Giants. So in the past, it kind of felt like the players ran the team with McAdoo and Shurmur. He didn't feel like an old school football coach. But I'm really getting that old school football vibe with the current Giants and their coaching staff with Joe Judge as their head coach. It feels as though the coaching staff finally has control over the roster. And like I said, I just didn't feel like that. I think many would agree with Ben McAdoo or Pat Shurmur. I think a good example, it seems as though the players are working for the coaching staff instead of the coaching staff working for the players. And what I mean by that is Ben McAdoo, he was hired to keep Eli Manning on the right path, right? He was a good offensive coordinator in 2014, 2015. He was promoted to head coach. And he was promoted to be an X's and O's guy and make sure Eli had success. And Odell had success. Same thing with Pat Shurmur. He was hired to try and revive Eli again, I guess. X's and O's and make sure, they used the talented Odell and the talented Saquon. And it felt like the coaches were just specifically hired to make Eli Manning good or Odell good or Saquon good or put them in a position to be productive so that they can win football games. It's flipped. It feels as though, like I said, the players are working for the coaching staff. It feels as though the coaches are the ones who, they have control over their roster. They're trying to build a good culture, hard work, gritty, hard-nosed football, more of a team atmosphere than one or two players getting the most out of them, and that's why the head coach was hired, simply just to get the most out of one or two players. The thing is, if those one or two players don't play well, that coach is obviously in trouble. He's in a tough situation. So let's look at some of the other coaches the Giants have on their staff other than Joe Judge. Jason Garrett, Brett Bielema, Freddie Kitchens. Those three coaches have head coaching experience. Garrett and Kitchens in the NFL, Brett Bielema in college football. So you bring that aspect of guys that have been in front of an entire team and had to lead an entire group and get their message across not only to, a secondary or the defensive line, but to an entire football team, offense, defense, special teams, the rest of the coaching staff. So to have that kind of experience with a rookie head coach like Joe Judge, I think works in the Giants' favor. I think that's a positive thing. Also, just by seeing some of the quotes that have come out so far during training camp from a guy like Mark Colombo, the offensive line coach, saying that he was, a big Bill Parcells guy. Bill Parcells had a big influence on his career. And Colombo said this in regard to the offensive line, that it's about, quote, work ethic, and it's a nasty attitude, flying around that's non-negotiable. That comes right from Joe Judge. Burton Burns, the running backs coach, who coached at Alabama for many years, said it's like deja vu comparing Nick Saban to Joe Judge, that they're very similar coaches in terms of their style. So as I mentioned, it feels as though that old school, team football mentality is back with the Giants. It's not just a coach who was hired to help a quarterback and you're a defensive back and you kind of know that, okay, Pat Shurmur, Ben McAdoo, they were hired to make sure Eli is good again. It really feels like Joe Judge was hired for everybody. He's hired for Daniel Jones, for James Bradbury, for Leonard Williams, for Evan Ingram, for Andrew Thomas, for everybody. He's very relatable in terms of that work ethic style that translates to every single player and every single aspect of a football team. And you also have to look at it like this. This is a very young New York Giants team. It's a lot easier to push a Joe Judge style of coaching with younger, hungrier players. I mean, there's a reason teams sign, a player for veteran leadership. Because usually a veteran's been around, kind of has a big voice, can speak up, can kind of serve as another coach. But also sometimes when you sign a veteran who is produced, who went to a couple Pro Bowls, and he's done this and he's done that, and he's one of the best players in the league or whatever it might be, and he gets paid a lot of money. I mean, just like anybody, their attitude's going to change a little bit. You're going to think you're the best, and you don't need to listen to a coach. I went to 3 Pro Bowls. I just got a $50 million contract. Why do I need to listen to a coach? And that's with anybody, right, in any profession. So when you have a young team like the Giants where there's a lot of players who they're still trying to earn their way into the NFL, they're trying to prove that they're starters, it's a lot easier to push forward the Joe Judge style of football where it's all about team and hard work and culture and just making sure that you stay focused on what you're doing and it's not about you, but it's about the entire team. And in the end, we have no idea if this is going to work, right? It could work great. This culture football thing could be great, or maybe it doesn't work out. I have no idea. I'm not going to sit here and tell you this is great or it's terrible. I don't know, and you don't know, and nobody knows. We got to see how the games play out. But it's interesting, and it's way different than it was in recent years. So that's all I got. Vincent Rapsardi, BigBlueUnbiased.com. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you like, comment, and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. Follow me on Twitter at Vince Rapsardi. I have a podcast in the description below. Thanks again, Vincent Rapsardi, BigBlueUnbiased.com.